As long as we get more community solar and more savings to people, I'm totally cool with this. It doesn't have to all be only renewables, right? It could also be, let's just help so many people save money on their bills, because bills are so freaking high.
Community solar is well known now as the fourth vertical for the solar industry. Yet, how the community solar projects come together, and more importantly, how we get subscribers to actually buy into these effectively utility scale solar projects remains a bit of a mystery. Today, we're going to try and demystify the process. You are live here at the Power Up Live stage at RE Plus Northeast, brought to you by Encore Renewables, Conductor Solar, and Solar Simplified. I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of Solar Simplified, Aviv Shalgi. Aviv, great to see you.
Thank you for having me, brother.
As always, I find that my conversations with you help to enlighten and illuminate my ignorance around community solar, so I appreciate that. You've definitely done your homework, and you're one of the most well-known aggregators of consumer or purchasing in the community solar space. So we're going to dig a bit into the details, what that means. Can you give us a quick rundown, though, of what exactly is community solar for folks that just are unfamiliar?
Sure. So idea of community solar basically started when regulators, politicians, grid managers, etc., just realized that they want more generation spread out throughout the grid. The issue is, right, it used to be utility scale or rooftop or behind the meter, right? And this was an idea of let's have more generators that are smaller, spread out, right? The hope was make the grid more reliable, make things more sustainable, cut down costs of upgrades that you need for transformers, substations, etc., and not have that money fall on ratepayers. What they created was the community solar framework, which basically means you build up to 5 megawatt AC, call it 7, 8 megawatt DC projects. They're spread out throughout the state and throughout the grid. But developers in exchange have to give a discount to a subscriber.
Got it.
Be a low-income resident, a renter, a homeowner, a small commercial, or a large factory. Right?
Is there a regulation around the amount of discount required?
Yes. So there's usually, I would say every state's different. This is regulated on a state-by-state level, but there's usually a minimum. In many states, the minimum is usually 5%.
So if I'm paying 10 cents, I have to be able to take 5% of that cost down.
Correct.
As a community solar aggregator, someone who's offering the community solar electrons, those solar electrons.
Correct. Then some states took it a step further and said, well, low income have to get, a minimum of 10 or a minimum of 20.
Wow.
Every state's a little bit different, but overall, I think everybody said 5 because probably less than 5 just sounds like kind of a scam.
Yeah.
But, above 5, usually the regulators let the market do its thing. Again, other than consumer protection, again, super low income people, etc. They don't want them to get taken advantage of.
And so developers, you mentioned developers are out building these assets, and the missing link between these assets is the person to buy the electrons. Homeowners, typically even businesses, are buying from a utility. In this case, they have the option through what's known as a commercial entity or an aggregator like Solar Simplified to subscribe to the solar electron. Could you talk a bit about the free market nature of that? Like, how does a homeowner even decide who they want to buy from, and how does that competition work in the marketplace?
Yeah. So let's take a step back for a second.
Okay.
Community solar, they don't buy the energy.
They don't.
They buy $1 for 90 cents.
Oh, yes.
That dollar is produced by energy for sure, right? The more sunlight we have in 1 month, the more dollars we can have to sell to people.
Sure.
But this looks like a Groupon.
It's a coupon,
A Groupon or a coupon, depending on the state, but I don't sell electrons to anybody. I'm not a retailer, I'm not a utility, I'm not regulated as such. So the regulation is different between the retail open market trading electrons.
Right.
That's a much heavier, heavier on the regulation side, side of our industry. Because if they screw up, they can actually lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? If I agree to sell to you for 10 cents a kilowatt hour, but I can't buy it at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, retailers take that risk.
Right.
For us, it's a guaranteed discount program. So whatever the utility says that the rate is, call it 10 cents a kilowatt hour, I'm giving you 10% off of that.
Yes.
If the utility next month says it's 8 cents or 12 cents, I just fluctuate together with that.
I see.
So less regulation, a lot of consumer protection, obviously.
Yeah.
Less regulation because we don't trade the electrons.
And so for a homeowner, instead of putting panels on their roof, they can subscribe to basically have clean energy at a discount.
Correct.
And so I presume that the financing works totally differently in this scenario.
Right, 100%. So, as a subscriber, you don't pay, right? You pay the after discount rate. So
Yes.
instead of 10 cents, you pay 9 cents, right? But you don't pay for the panels. You don't pay for the work. You don't pay for anything. You just sign up.
Yeah.
I'll give you $100 and you'll pay me back 90. Or in many states, the next step we've taken the industry to is, here's just $10, man. We do the plus 100 minus 90 on the back end with the utility, but it's not visible to you because that's just confusing.
You're getting a credit back on your bill, essentially.
Correct. So what ends up happening is we need a real estate type of financing.
Yes.
Somebody has to pay for the land. Usually it's the developer, right? So a leasing agreement or something of that nature. You usually need a lender, like a mortgage that you'll have on your house. So there's usually a lender behind it, a bank or a private institution. Obviously in our industry, because of the tax credits and everything, you're probably going to have a tax equity partner who would help you monetize that part.
Right.
Developers are usually not that wealthy, they can monetize that part. So we'll have a tax equity component. And then, right, all of these folks are going to come together. They'll pay for the construction, the financing, the panels, the labor, the whole thing. You just need to practically get the discount.
Yes.
And we ended up getting paid 90 cents on the dollar.
And so your job is to get the subscriber.
Right.
There's kind of two questions I have. One, how then do you make money? And then the other is, what's the attrition rate look like? Like, are homeowners required to, you buy a solar project and either you've got a 20-year lease with Sunnova or Sunrun or one of these companies, or you're stuck with it for the rest of your life. What's the obligation of the homeowner? And then how do you, as the middleman finding these homeowners, make money?
Sure. So let's start from the second part.
Sure.
There is no obligation.
Okay.
You sign up online, on the phone, through sending a letter, like however you want to sign up.
Yeah.
You can cancel at any time, at least with Solar Simplified, cancel at any time, no fees, no cancellation fees, no nothing.
Yeah.
All you have to do is, again, if it's not a coupon, if it's a Groupon method, you have to pay us the 90 back for the 100 we've already given you.
Right.
Right? There are no cancellation fees. There's nothing. I give you $1, pay me back the 90 cents, we're good to go.
Okay.
Right? Again, in most states, we're heading in the direction where that transaction will be behind the scenes. You just got 10 cents discount.
It's
we're
on
good to go. We can separate.
Yeah.
We can go our separate ways, and everybody's happy.
Yes.
Right. So there's no fees or tricks or lock-in periods or anything like that because
it's not like a cell phone.
Yeah, I'm practically giving you free money.
Right.
If you don't want the free money, somebody else will.
Yeah.
Right.
Are there limited seats on that train, so to speak?
Yes. So every project, right? It depends on your consumption as a homeowner, as a renter, how big your bill is.
Yeah.
But every project at the end of the day has a certain number of kilowatt hours it can produce a year.
Yeah.
We can only fill it by people who can consume those kilowatt hours.
Right.
If I can't put 10x the number of subscribers on, right? I'm going to need 10 more projects like it. There is some scarcity. There is a limited number of seats in these projects for sure.
Yeah.
Now,
presumably as an aggregator, you could be sitting with a pent-up demand of homeowners that want it and the lack of developers that are putting enough electrons onto the market.
100%. I think that's a horrible customer service, which is why I don't do that.
Right.
But yes, unfortunately, some people in our industry are doing that just to gobble up, people who sign up and then just stuck waiting on a wait list for 6, 12, 18, 24 months.
Aren't getting the benefit they signed up for.
Yeah, because it takes a long time to build these projects, right? You have to get the land, get the permits, buy the equipment, build the damn thing, excuse my French, right?
Yeah.
All of this takes a really long time.
Yeah.
We're all used to the Amazon world, right?
Yeah.
Where we click a button, 48 hours later, it's at my doorstep. I don't want to wait, as a subscriber of Community Solar, I don't want to wait for 18 months for things to show up.
Yeah.
Right? So we usually turn our marketing on exactly when we're like, okay, there's 500 openings in Greater Boston, which we're at right now. Great, everybody who's an Eversource customer, which is the utility in Boston, 500 spots. First 500, get in. After that's done, we'll wait for the next one.
Right.
Turn marketing off. Because we don't want A, to spend money, but B, to just disappoint people.
Sure.
They have to wait for so long.
Yep. And then with those 500 customers in EverSource, again, what's the revenue model for a company like Solar Simplified? How do you make money on that discount?
Yeah, so Solar Simplified basically has a slightly different business model than the rest of the industry.
Okay.
The industry is basically an a la carte model. Anything you want, just like a menu at a restaurant. You want a burger, costs money. You want fries, costs money. You want a Coke, costs money. Everything costs money, right? But you know exactly what you're buying.
Yes.
You're picking and choosing,
Yes.
right? Solar Simplified, we decided to simplify the process and just say, there's one price.
Yes.
Acquisition is free, churn replacement is free. We give a full collections guarantee, so if a subscriber did not pay us or if the utilities didn't wire the money to us, we will make them whole.
Yep.
There's a management fee once the product goes live.
Right.
So you make money when I make money.
It's essentially
and vice
like
versa.
it's a solar consumer fund, as it were, like in the VC world or the finance world, aggregating the dollars that might go into an investment. The manager, in this case, Solar Simplified, would charge a management fee. And it sounds like you've basically borrowed that model for customer subscription.
Right. So, I mean, management fees have been around for the last 10, 15 years in community solar.
Okay.
So it wasn't something new. The new part was, let's get rid of all of the other costs.
Yeah.
Just to bake them all into the management fee. That's why it's simple to model, simple to underwrite for, again, lenders and tax equity, et cetera, all of the financing parties. But it also aligns incentives.
Yeah.
You don't have the risk of, if something bad happens, I'm going to have to pay extra. And having that sensitivity analysis that you have to run as a financing party, say, what happens if things go the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
If things go the wrong way, I take the hit. You're being made whole. I shield you from it. That's why I can simplify the process.
Yeah. What are the underlying complexities involved for you as the manager of all these moving parts that, in particular in aggregation business, that are sort of non-obvious for others?
I mean, I would say that the three obvious ones would be we have to acquire customers, we have to retain customers, and we have to collect the money.
Yeah.
Right? I think some of the non-obvious ones would probably be, right, call it around consolidated billing. What we talked about, the on-bill credits, right, where a subscriber doesn't have to pay Solar Simplified directly, goes through the utility and back to us. That used to be the holy grail.
Yeah.
Oh my God, utility companies are credit-worthy. They're usually publicly traded, right? Huge companies, Exelon, National Grid, etc. Right? They're definitely going to pay on time. Everything will be perfect.
Yeah.
And then they don't actually pay, right? It's like on P&L, right? The profit and loss statement, you can write off, I have a profit, but the cash was never wired to the bank account. And some utilities are great, and they pay a month or two after they should be paying, but at least 30, 60 days you're getting your money.
Yeah.
But, in New Jersey, it's even written into like a part of the utility tariffs. They're not paying until 70 to 90 days late.
Wow.
Which is already 30 days after you finished generating energy. So we're talking 120 days after you generated the energy, that's when you're going to get paid.
So you got to float capital for 4 to 5 months. Wow.
And that's something that for us as Solar Simplified, we take that risk on us, that working capital floating risk. Again, we make people whole. We go and fight the utility because we can aggregate a lot of these projects. We have more power than any individual developer.
Yes.
So we can fight the utility and say, come on, guys. Like you have to start paying on time. This is being completely ridiculous.
Yep.
And we've gotten some utilities, especially like, let's say in York, some of the utilities used to be 12 months delayed, 10 months delayed, which is insane. And we just bang on their head. And if we need to, we talk to the regulators, et cetera, and say, come on, guys, like you can't get free energy for a year and pay so much late. And now they're a month late, 2 months late, 3 months late. Like it's still late, but it's not the end of the world late.
From an infrastructure perspective, are there things that keep you up at night in terms of sort of not just the complexity of the business model, but the underlying uncertainty and risk in the industry?
Yeah. I mean, I would be completely honest with you, Nico. Like I'm worried we're going to see a lot of consolidation in the industry in 25, 26.
Consolidation as well as attrition, I guess.
Yeah, and not necessarily a good one. Like we've seen developers leave community solar.
Yeah.
because they weren't taking into consideration some of the risks involved, like the churn risks, the acquisition risks, the payment, right, the collections risks, etc. They were thinking that everything is going to be easy.
Yeah.
But I mean, community solar to somebody who's not from the industry kind of sounds like a scam.
Yes.
Just sign here, click a bunch of buttons. You're going to get 10% off your bill. They're like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to screw me over?
Yeah.
And fortunately, we're really not screwing anybody over. This is really a pure guaranteed discount offer. But a lot of developers and some of the IPPs are just assuming, oh, churn is going to be 2% a year, or even zero. Like I've heard folks tell me, I'm not going to have any churn in 25 years.
Yeah.
To which I usually love to respond, have you figured out a solution for death?
Yeah.
Screw solar. I want to sign up for that thing.
Right.
Like, how do I not die?
Those same developers are probably modeling a P50 rather than a P90 for their financing. Yeah.
And so they're taking a lot of assumptions that you can throw whatever number you want at the Excel.
Yeah.
But when push comes to shove, you actually put the shovels in the ground, build the asset, and you start to monetize it, that's when shit, unfortunately, is going to start to break, right? And so I'm very worried that we're going to see, right, some of my competition, who again are a la carte.
Yeah.
If there's suddenly a downswing and there's no new acquisitions, some of them might be out of business.
Yep.
You know, and we're actually in discussions of potentially merging or acquiring some of them right now.
It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great business opportunity for me, but it's horrible for the industry, right? If my competitors go under, or if developers go under, we're just going to have less projects.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Are there any underlying assumptions around the way the business is being modeled by developers or analysts that maybe also present risk or uncertainty in the marketplace?
Yeah. So I mean, I usually like to give the 2008. I don't know if anybody of our watchers watched The Big Short.
Oh yes.
There's a scene where Steve Carell walks into, I think it was S&P, and asks the lady with like very big goggles, you know, why did you AAA all of these, you know, garbage junk bonds at AAA?
Yep. And
she responds to him, because if we didn't, Moody's would have.
That's right.
And so what scares me, I'm seeing a lot of different curves. I'm not going to mention anybody's names, but like there's a lot of curves and like research companies selling curves out there. And you have to take a step back.
Curves in terms of growth curves?
So in terms of price curves.
Price curves.
Dollars per kilowatt hour.
Where the price at the utility is going.
Right.
Yeah. I.e. what the revenue possibility is with the discount.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, the thing is, like, they're always super optimistic, right? And I'm like, that's great on paper.
Yeah.
But they might not tell you the whole truth because they're scared that you would go to the other guy who would give you a more optimistic scenario. And so that's a little bit worrisome because some projects are modeling some crazy price increases, which might happen in a very small local utility, right?
Yeah.
Not across the country.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to see price of electricity go up to $1 a kilowatt hour. I don't see prices just going crazy up like some folks do. And so that's a little scary. It's not going to hurt me on my side because the project is going to be there.
Yeah.
It's just going to wipe out the equity holders and the lenders are going to step in.
Yeah.
Right, and take control because you haven't been able to cover your debt.
And you still get to manage the customer. If that's the part that you have.
I still get to manage the customer. But again, to me, all of that fiasco, even while I might not get hurt by that individual project, the project's going to stay there for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, the asset's going to be there.
But everybody else are going to get scared and we're not going to see more projects coming in.
It's going to affect demand.
Right.
It's going to affect demand on the production side, the supply. Correct.
Supply of project.
Yeah.
And so that scares me. I want the industry to grow, not to shrink.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about not only complexities of the industry, but what keeps you up at night, sort of the things that you worry about. Let's flip the script and talk about the things that actually excite you. It's 2025. We've got a new administration. There are a lot of reasons to believe that solar in particular is inevitable and is around to stay. As you look into this year, what markets excite you and what do you see on the horizon for community solar?
I mean, I think that community solar, we've been very fortunate to be state regulated, not federally, right? So the transitions of this president and that president have been, right, helpful or less helpful, but they were never detriment to the killing of the industry, right? Which is great. And also, that gives us a diversification as an industry where if budgets in Massachusetts have run behind a little bit, maybe New York or Illinois or Maryland or Delaware or Jersey or whatnot, California are taking a stand, and putting in more budgets this year. So we do have the diversification among states. The thing that I really like about it is, and excites me, is the fact that it's become very bipartisan.
Yeah.
Most politicians, regardless of which side of the aisle they're on, like to say they've helped their constituents save money.
Right.
I would say probably the Republican side will say more, we created more jobs, right?
Yeah.
It's, there's more diversity of energy on the grid, which means less times that the lights go out, basically. We helped everybody save money. We helped people create jobs. Awesome. Maybe some of them might talk less about the renewable part, right? Some of them do. A lot of Republicans do support, right? The renewables. Same goes for the Democrats. Democrats might talk more about the renewables and maybe less about some of the other stuff, but it's fine. As long as we get more community solar and more savings to people, I'm totally cool with this, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to all be only renewables, right? It could also be, let's just help so many people save money on their bills, because bills are so freaking high, right? Especially since the COVID days. Everything's just more expensive with inflation. We want to help people save money.
Yes.
Right? And so that excites me. And so we're seeing more and more states joining. Blue, purple, red, yellow, green, whatever you want to call them, it doesn't matter. There's more and more states coming and passing legislation that basically allows us as an industry to help people save money. And also pushes more solar, which is also great.
Exactly. So there are really two kinds of entities that a company like Solar Simplified services. If a homeowner is watching this and they're really excited, how would they know that they're in a state that you service or that is coming online soon for solar?
They would have to probably go on our website, solarsimplified.com, and check.
Yeah.
Right? They can reach out to us through the contact us page, phone, email, chat, whatever.
Yeah.
And we might be able to tell them, hey, you're in a state that's existing already. Your state is going to have legislation soon.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, unfortunately, we have to tell people, I'm sorry, there's no upcoming legislation that we're aware of in your state. But you should contact your local congressman, your local legislators, and say, I think that we need this type of framework.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't only be the industry pushing for this, it should also come from the people.
And there's also a ton of resources. Coalition Community Solar has toolkits to take to your local regulators to try and get this instituted at a state level. And then on the flip side, it's the developers, the installers that are actually out there building these projects. What as a parting thought or a parting note, what message do you have for those developers?
Yeah, I would say run your numbers, double click on each and every number and make sure that you understand what you're putting yourself into, right? We talked about some of these pitfalls that some people are not necessarily paying attention to. Look into those and shop around. Come talk to Solar Simplified. We'll give you a proposal, right? I've never been told that I'm more expensive than the competition, which is a very big compliment, right? But I feel like people should, especially developers and IPPs and asset owners and finance, and everybody on the industry side that's underwriting all this, should take a deep look and make sure they're modeling things correctly.
Yeah.
Taking the churn assumptions, taking the acquisition assumptions, taking the cash flow risks, etc., and saying, who's my best partner? I can't tell you that I'm the end-all be-all, right? This is not Google. I'm not taking over 99% of the search market, right? I'm not looking to, right? That'll be great. I'm definitely not looking to. I like the fact we have competition. Competition improves the industry, right? But just make sure you're looking at the numbers correctly. Make sure you're doing the deep dive. And also make sure that you're diversified amongst a multiple number of competitors, of aggregators. But if for any reason one of them bunks, you have a couple of others you can talk to.
Fascinating. As the community solar market evolves, I always go back to my trusty resource at Solar Simplified, the CEO and founder, Aviv Shalga. Thank you for taking time here, not just to support our Power Up Live stage, but to help demystify the community solar market as it's growing. Aviv, thank you for joining us.
Happy to help. Thank you.